Hello and happy Tuesday, everyone. I hope you're ready to get a nice power yoga practice on because I am. I hope that you had a great weekend. I hope that you are, whatever time of day it is for you, because I know that this is YouTube and you can always come back and watch this. I hope that you are taking time to focus on what is in front of you, focus on doing some self-care, taking some time away from your work, because it is so essential to disconnect for a moment. And if you're anything like me, you never regret doing it, but it's hard to do. So welcome is what I am saying to you. Something that I have been thinking about lately that I think would be, that is very applicable to a moving meditation practice such as yoga is the concept of the third door. And this is a large philosophical concept that I do not have time to unpack in 5 minutes, but the Cliff's Notes version is that in life, if you always think of everything in terms of black and white, in terms of two diametrically opposed opposites, then you are perhaps missing the shades of nuance in between, and perhaps missing an alternative to a dualistic approach. And what I mean by that is that so often, I think this is a Western thing. So often we think of choices in life as being I can either be all this, or I can be all that, or I have a choice to respond in anger to that person, or I have a choice to respond totally passively to that person, and we make it about the opposites. But what I want to suggest to you today is that it's possible that between those two opposites, between those two diametrically opposed alternatives, is a third way. And it's not necessarily the middle way. I'm not talking about like blending them together and making like a perfect balance between them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about an alternative. I'm talking about a third way, or the third door is what it's called. And it generally takes more nuance, and it generally takes a little bit more thought, and it generally takes perhaps some more time. It requires you to slow down and consider what would it look like to not respond in anger, but also not respond totally passively. But what would it look like to engage with this person in dialogue, and in grace, and in a level of acceptance and understanding that leads to peaceful resolution rather than alienation, right? And so I encourage you to maybe start to think about, what does the third door look like? Maybe not just in your relationships with other people, but in the way that you spend your time, that rather than think about the breakdown of your day as either work or play, right? It's either work or rest. What does the third door look like, and what does it look like to see your day and the choices that you make in terms of more nuance and more subtlety? And I know that it takes work, but I know that you have the capacity to do that. And so how does this apply to yoga, right? How does this even apply to our physical practice? I would invite you to think about the way you approach your practice and the way you approach poses, not as a story of this is something I can do or I can't do, but introduce the word yet to your mindset. What does it look like to say I can't do this yet, or I won't do this yet, but that I am in the process of growing and becoming and moving toward a particular capacity or a particular ability. That short but powerful word yet is something that can change your mindset and change the way you see yourself and the way you see others. So I invite you to think about that as you move to your mat, as you lie down on your back. You probably know this already, but we're going to get a little sweaty today, and that is always totally up to you, right? And so here I am making suggestions and offering cues and ideas for poses, but you are the teacher. You are ultimately listening to your own body. And so it's up to you how much or how little you do. So I just invite you along for the ride. Let's move to our mats, shall we? So go ahead and lie down on your back. Lie down on your back, rest your hands on your belly, and I like to bend my knees just a little bit more comfortable for my low back, but it's totally up to you. You could have your legs straight, you could take a reclined butterfly, or you could tent your knees toward one another and have your feet wide and drop your knees toward one another. Lots of options here as you're lying down on your back. But go ahead and bring your hands to your belly, bring your attention to that diaphragmatic breathing here. So as you inhale, your belly rises. And as you exhale, your belly falls. Take it through 5 simple, long, slow breaths, breathing with your diaphragm. All right, now we're going to introduce a little bit of cultivation to your breath here. So go ahead and exhale all the air out of the lungs. And then on the inhale, breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold with the lungs empty, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, go ahead and release the cultivation of the breath. Just allow your breath to flow naturally through your body. No more counting, no more lengthening, no more holding. All right, head the knees to the chest. Gently roll side to side, picking up the head, the shoulders, the tailbone. Round the spine. And now keep hold of the right leg as you release the left leg down onto the earth. And now just draw some little knee circles here with that right leg. Just kind of moving and mobilizing that hip. You can swing it to the right, to the left. And switch legs. Pick up the left leg. Draw some little knee circles here. All right, now pick up both legs. Grab hold of the outsides of the feet. And just gently roll side to side in happy baby. Nice little stretch in the low back here. Waking up the hips. If you want to take any little movements of the legs here. And maybe roll out the feet, the ankles. Point and flex the toes. Bonus points if your ankle cracks. All right. Let's roll up and down the length of the spine. And maybe for a little extra fun, if you want to try balancing on your tailbone, balancing for a moment, coming up into boat pose just for a little moment, and then roll back, come up into boat pose. It's one of those things that gets a little bit easier with practice, finding that balance. And maybe after you've done it a couple times, you might try, as you pause in boat pose, you might try straightening your legs. Woo, and roll it back. Just play with it a little bit. Lots going on in the core when we're practicing pausing and balancing on our sit bones here. And after you've done a few more of those rock and roll and pauses, go ahead and roll over the ankles, come up onto the tabletop position, onto your knees, onto your wrists, and let's take it through a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhale as you lengthen the sternum forward, release the belly toward the earth. Exhale as you round the spine, scooping out the belly. Inhale for the back bend. Exhale to round. Stay with that belly breath. Inhale. Exhale. And as you take it through a few rounds of cat-cow here, maybe start to incorporate some forward, backward rocking motion. I like to sweep it back toward my feet on the inhale and sweep it forward toward my hands on the exhale. Forward, backward rocking motion, starting to warm the shoulders, the wrists, the hips. This is your opportunity to just check in with your joints, your muscles. Notice where you might be clenching or holding some tension here. You know, as you're moving forward and back, are you super rigid in your neck? Are you clenching your toes? Find some organic movement here. All right. Go ahead and settle back into a kneeling position. And just for a few moments here, we're going to just pay special attention to our neck here. So just as the spine can move in those three directions, the neck can too. And so let's start with like a little cat-cow for the neck. So drop the chin to the chest. On the exhale, chin toward the sky. On the inhale, gaze goes up. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, chin to the sky. Exhale, chin to chest. Big full inhales and exhales. Inhale. Exhale, chin to chest. All right, now let's take it side to side. So you're dropping one ear toward the shoulder, ear to shoulder, right to left. You're not rotating or twisting your neck just yet. You're stretching the side muscles of the neck. Subtle but important. We can wrap up a lot of tension in our neck, especially if we spend time sitting looking at screens. And it takes intention to unwind that. So good. All right, now let's start by rotating your chin toward your right, toward your left. Look to the left, look to the right. Nice. All right, come back to a neutral spine. I'm going to teach you a little trick that my chiropractor taught me. Make an L with your hand, right? So with your thumb and your index finger, and then slip the L, or slip the thumb part of that L into the notch between your collarbones. Everyone has a notch between their collarbones at the base of the throat. And now that L that you make creates a guide for you to rest your chin on the pointer finger, on the tip of your pointer finger. So that is where your chin should be in relation to your neck at all times in order to keep your neck healthy, right? Because a lot of times we, over the course of the day and because of habits that we put ourselves into, we get into this forward head position and we don't think about it, but the skull weighs more than 0 pounds. I think it's like 8 pounds or something like that. But the skull weighs enough that it can start to put pressure on the discs and on those delicate vertebrae in your neck, and over time can degenerate the tissue. And so one way to counteract that is to have better posture. One way to have better posture is by just checking in with yourself and using this little measuring tool that you have on your hand. All right. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, take it forward into tabletop. And pick up the feet, roll out the ankles, point, flex the feet. Depending on how used to sitting in that kneeling position you are, your feet might have started to fall asleep. So you can kind of get that blood flowing again. All right, curl the toes under, take an inhale. And on the exhale, straighten the legs, lift the hips, take it back to downward facing dog. This is your first downward facing dog of practice. So make it a really wiggly, really active downward facing dog. Bend and straighten the knees to the right, to the left. Get some twists here. Lean into one heel, lean into the other heel. Just check in with your feet, your hamstrings, your shoulders. All right, let's take it forward into a plank here. Lower the hips in line with the shoulders. Top of the push-up. Take an inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward to plank. Downward facing dog. Again, inhale, forward to plank. Downward facing dog. Last time, inhale, forward to plank, and this time we're going to take it into some side planks. And so shift your body weight into your left hand, reach the right fingertips toward the sky. Lift with the hips, press into the earth with your feet. Take an inhale. And exhale back to a high plank. Other side, have your right hand beneath the right shoulder. Reach the left fingertips toward the sky. Really press into the earth, really active in the shoulder. Elbow is straight. Lift the hips. Take an inhale. And exhale, circle the left hand back to the earth. From the high push-up here, we're going to lower, but so slowly with control. I'm going to do it on a 6 count. So we're going to lower together for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Chest touches, belly touches, tops of the feet touch. Inhale, cobra. Just peel the chest and shoulders off the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, we're going to take it through that same sequence one more time. Right side plank, left side plank, slow lower. Inhale, forward to the top of a push-up. Activate your core, shift your body weight to the left hand. Inhale, right side plank. Right fingertips toward the sky. Press your feet into the earth. Take an inhale. Exhale, high plank back to center. Other side. Press the right hand into the earth. Reach the left fingertips up toward the sky. Take an inhale. Exhale, top of the push-up. Gather your stability in your core. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, we're lowering for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very nice. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Nice. Shoulders should be nice and warm. So glance up at your hands. Walk your feet forward to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Inhale, hands find the shins. Halfway lift. Lengthen the crown of the head forward. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale to stand. Sweep the arms. Reach for the sky. Find length. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. We're going to take it through a couple half sun salutations here at the top of the mat. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Again, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. And just a little aside here about whether you sweep your arms forward or to the sides. I'm choosing to reach forward as I hinge and as I stand, only because I have a wall 3 inches to my left. And so if you prefer to swan dive over the legs, that's totally fine too. They're both great. It's just a question of how you're feeling and how much space you have. All right. Let's add a little bit to this half sun salutation. So on the inhale, bring the arms overhead. And on the exhale, cactus arms, take a little standing back bend, gaze goes up. Inhale, arms overhead again, bring everything back to center. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hug the knees to the chest, come into a little ball, pick the heels up off the earth, tuck the chin to the chest, find a rounded shape with your spine. Now inhale, halfway lift again. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. All right, we're going to take it again through that spinal flow, half sun salutations. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, back bend, cactus arms. Tuck the tailbone under to protect the low belly. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hug the knees to the chest into a little ball. Tuck the chin to the chest. Tuck the tailbone under. Inhale, halfway lift. Feet find the earth again. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. One more time all the way through. Inhale. Exhale for the back bend. Inhale, arms overhead, back to center. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale into that little ball. Heels up off the earth. Inhale, halfway lift, heels back down. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Very nice. Let's take it through a dancing warrior flow from the top of the mat. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. Your choice. If you want to take it to chaturanga, upward facing dog, or if you want to lower all the way to the earth and take cobra, totally up to you. On the exhale, take it back to downward facing dog. 2 long, slow breaths. Inhale, lift the right leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, knee to nose. So use the belly to lift that leg and step it forward next to the right thumb. So try to use as little momentum as possible, and it's about activating from the core. Keep the back heel lifted as you inhale to crescent lunge. Find that balance, soft bend in the back knee. Take one more inhale, elbows straight. Exhale, warrior 2. Arms are in line with the shoulders, gazes over the right fingertips. Ground into all 4 corners of your feet. Flip the right palm up. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, reverse warrior, gaze goes up. Keep that knee bend in the front knee. Inhale, back to warrior 2. Exhale, circle the hands to the earth, long and slow. Step it back to plank. Follow your breath through a flow. Left side, inhale, lift the left leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, knee to nose. Rock your body weight forward over the wrists and step the left foot next to the left thumb using the active core. Inhale, arms overhead, crescent lunge. Find your balance. Soft bend in the back knee. Palms facing each other, shoulders down and away from the ears. Really active in the upper back. Take an inhale. Exhale, warrior 2. Spin the back heel down. Find that line from front heel to the arch of the back foot, and that's parallel with your arms. So everything is in line. Flip the left palm up. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, reverse warrior, gaze goes up. The right shoulder leads toward the earth, left shoulder toward the sky. Inhale, back to warrior 2. Exhale, circle the hands, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. And as always, if you ever want to add some push-ups, some extra time in that chaturanga, you want to build some heat, you go for it. I support you in that. At the end of that next exhale, glance up at the hands, walk, step or float your feet, top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Very nice. Step the feet together, toes, heels touch. Preparing for Sun Salutation B. Inhale, chair pose, arms overhead, bend at the knees, bend at the hips, like you're sitting down in a chair that you just can't quite get to. Take an inhale. Exhale, fold over the legs. Feel the hamstrings lengthen. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the earth, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. Right side, inhale, lift the right leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, draw the knee to the nose, lift the body weight forward onto the wrist, and step that right foot next to the right thumb. Spin the back heel down. Warrior one on the inhale. So the back heel is on the earth, but just because the back heel is down doesn't mean you can open the hips out to the side. Keep drawing the left hip forward so that your hips are square with the top of the mat. Button up the low belly. Soften the lower ribs down toward the earth. Warrior one, take an inhale. And on the exhale, hinge forward, reaching the fingertips forward, kind of an extended humble warrior. Inhale, back to warrior one, arms overhead. Exhale, hinge forward over the leg. Fingertips reaching for the front of the room. Inhale, warrior one again. Exhale, last time, hinge forward, shifting some body weight forward into that right arm. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, hands to the earth, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. Left side, inhale, lift the left leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, knee to nose, shift the body weight forward over the front hands. Circle the back heel down, warrior one on the inhale. Find that foundation in that back heel here. Arms overhead, draw that right hip forward. Feel that stretch in the right hip flexor. Arms overhead, warrior one, inhale. Exhale, hinge forward, reaching for the front of the room. Inhale, back to warrior one. Just finding that range of motion. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. Go ahead and take it back to child's pose just for a moment. At this point, it's always worth reminding you that, one, child's pose is always available to you, and two, you always have the option to add to or skip those vinyasa flows that we do. As you have noticed, it builds heat. It increases load on your muscles because you're basically doing push-ups. And if you do not need more of those in your life, then you can skip them. Okay, so from child's pose, curl the toes under, take an inhale. Exhale, take it back to downward facing dog. All right, getting nice and warm. Glance up at the hands, walk, step, or float your feet. Top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Chair pose on the inhale. Come on back up to standing, hands to heart center on the exhale. Very nice. All right, we're going to get back over to a dancing warrior flow, adding a little bit to it. Here we go. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. Always your choice. Inhale, lift the right leg. This time, bend the knee. Stack the right hip on top of left. Find that twist here in downward facing dog. Exhale, step it through next to the right thumb. Again, use that lift from the belly. Crescent lunge on the inhale. Back heel is lifted. That's the difference between crescent lunge and warrior two. Take an inhale. Warrior two on the exhale. Let's flow back and forth between warrior two with the front knee straight and the front knee bent. Inhale, arms overhead.
Straighten up the front knee. Exhale back into warrior two. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale back into warrior two. Find that groove with the knee. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale back into warrior two. Flip the right palm up. Inhale. Exhale, reverse warrior. Keep that knee bend. Inhale back to warrior two. Side angle on the exhale. Either way, your elbow to your knee or your hand to the earth or your hand to a block. Choose your side angle. Explore it. Going to hang out here for a few breaths here, so get nice and comfortable. Open that left side body toward the sky. Rotate the sternum toward the left. Even though your hand is on the earth, you're not dumping a bunch of weight into it. Stay lifted. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, circle the left hand to the earth. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. Other side, inhale, lift the left leg, bend the knee, stack the hips. Find that twist here in downward facing dog. Exhale, step it through next to the left thumb. Crescent lunge on the inhale. Warrior two on the exhale. All right, let's flow back and forth in warrior two. So just a quick conversation about this. In warrior two, you always want that front knee to point straight over the midline of the front toes. And so it's tempting, as you're building strength here, it's tempting to just relax the outer hip, and then that knee will drift inward. But if you switch on the outer hip to keep that knee lined up over the midline of the foot, you will build strength in that outer hip, and that translates to many movements in life, from lunging to squatting to sitting. All that power that we get from the outer hip that we learn to switch on in poses like this, warrior two. Arms in line with the shoulders. Inhale, arms overhead, straighten the front knee. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, warrior two. One more time. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale. Back into warrior two. Front knee over the front ankle. Flip the left palm up. Reach it forward. Exhale, reverse warrior. Gaze goes up. Inhale, back to warrior two. And it's a side angle on the left side now. So either way, you've got your left hand on the earth or your left elbow on the knee. Right fingertips toward the sky. Feel that lengthening and stretching down the whole right side body. The left hand is inside the left foot, right? There's some variations where people go outside, but I think that's different traditions. It's like Ashtanga or something like that. It's not wrong, but I was taught to put my left hand on the inside of the left foot, so that's what I'm going to teach you. One more inhale. Exhale, circle the right hand to the earth, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. Two long, slow breaths in downward facing dog. Glance up at the hands, walk, step, or float your feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Relax the hands down by your sides, palms forward, mountain pose. Rotate the shoulders down and back. Get that broad chest, tall through the crown of the head. All right, for a little bit of balancing pose, we're going to get into our hip rotation here while standing. So shift all of your body weight to your left foot. Bring the right knee up in line with the hip. I'm going to give you a couple options to kind of work your way into this. So the first option is going to be to just use your hands to plant your right hand on your knee, and then your left hand, you're going to rotate. You're going to rotate your hip so that you're looking down at your shin. And so you've got your foot in your left hand and your knee in your right hand, and you're just stabilizing here. Not only is it challenging to stand on one leg, but you're also getting a little bit of a hip opener here in the right hip. This could be particularly challenging today, depending on how often you do hip openers. If this feels pretty good, take your peace fingers and thumb, so the first 3 fingers of your right hand, grab hold of the big toe of that right foot, right? And so now you've got less of your hand supporting your leg, and now you're just grabbing hold of the big toe. Have the foot flexed to protect the knee joint, and keep using the knee off to the side. So if you want to look at me from the side, this is what it looks like, right? So I'm still maintaining this hip rotation here in the right hip. Standing leg is straight, knee is locked out. Take an inhale, and then just go ahead and release and come back to standing. Okay, shake out your standing leg. We're going to do the other side. I'm going to turn this way, again, so I don't confuse myself from right to left. Shift your body weight to your right leg, pick up the left knee, establish your balance in that standing leg. Just standing on one leg is not easy, right? It's one of those things that we do get better at over time and practice. And now once you've got your balance, reach down and just grab hold of that lower leg from knee to foot. And it helps create tension down the leg if you flex the ankle. So flex the toes toward your knee, and that keeps the ankle from bending so that you can direct this rotation into the outer hip. Now, if you feel pretty good about this, and if you did so on the other side, take the peace fingers and thumb of your left hand and grab hold of the big toe. Again, check in with your standing leg nice and straight. Hips are level. Shoulders are stacked over the hips. Gaze is forward or down at some point on the floor that helps you balance. Keep that ankle flexed. Take an inhale. And exhale, release. Come back to standing. Nice job. Okay, we'll probably come back to that in a moment. Come back to the top of the mat. Let's take it through a little bit more hip work. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Take it through a flow. Inhale, lift the right leg, bend the knee, stack the hips. Exhale, step it through outside the right pinky. All right, so your hands are beneath your shoulders and your right foot is outside of the right hand. Inhale, reach the right fingertips toward the sky. Exhale, right hand back down to the earth. Inhale, right fingertips toward the sky. Exhale, right hand back down toward the earth. Inhale, right fingertips toward the sky. And this time you can go either on the hand or try tapping the elbow on the earth. Nice. Inhale, arms overhead, right fingertips toward the sky. Exhale, elbow toward the earth. One more time. Inhale, open it up to the right. Exhale, right elbow on the earth. And if you're feeling pretty good right here, you might just hang out here for a few breaths. You might lower both of your forearms down. If you want to relax into this pose, lower the back knee. If you want to stay active and maintain some challenge here, keep the back knee active, the back knee off the earth. Focus on the exhales. When you lengthen the exhale, you create space for the next breath. All right, press back up to your hands beneath the shoulders. One more time, inhale the right fingertips toward the sky. And with control, step it back to a side plank. Lift the hips toward the sky. And then maybe flip the palm like you could high five the floor. Extended side plank. Elbows are straight. Take one more inhale. And exhale, circle the hand to the earth. Take it through a flow. Same little sequence on the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg, bend the knee, stack the hips. Exhale, step it through outside the left thumb. Okay, so just like on the other side, your hands are beneath the shoulders. Your left foot is outside the left fingertips. And now we're going to take it through some revolve side angles here. So inhale, lift the left fingertips up toward the sky. Gaze goes up. Exhale, left hand back to the earth. Move with breath. Inhale to open it up. Exhale, back to the earth. One more time. Inhale to open it up. Exhale, back to the earth. Next, we're going to try tapping our elbow. Inhale, open it up. Can you tap the left elbow to the earth? Very nice. Inhale, open it up. Left elbow to the earth. By the way, you can always just stick with having your hand on the earth. Always up to you. Exhale. Remember what we talked about at the beginning of our practice. There's things we can do, there's things we can't do, and then there's things we can't do yet. All right, so lower the elbow to the earth, and maybe try to get comfortable here on your forearms. And even if you can't get comfortable, can you at least breathe? Can you at least endure without suffering, right? Suffering is optional. All right, press the right hand back into the earth, lift the left fingertips up toward the sky, establish that right shoulder, and step it back to a side plank here on the left side. Just like on the other side, let's extend the side plank. So flip the palm as though you could high five the floor. Bicep is by the ear, lift with the hips. Press that right hand into the earth, take an inhale. And on the exhale, circle the left hand to the earth, take it through a flow, very nice. Take a pause in child's pose. And then we can make child's pose a little bit more worth our while by turning it into a nice long side stretch. So try walking the hands off to the right edge of the mat. And then walk the hands over to the left edge of the mat. Stretching into the shoulder, the side waist. Right now, bring it back to center. And then bring the knees together, settle it back to a kneeling pose. Roll the shoulders back. Flip the palms up and have the backs of the hands on the thighs here. And so it's a similar shoulder position to when we were standing in mountain pose, except you're kneeling. But can you find that same broad chest? Can you squeeze the shoulder blades together and soften the shoulders down toward the earth? Maybe do your little check with your thumb and forefinger again. Find neutrality with your chin, your neck. As is true of so many things that we practice on the mat, both in our mind and in our posture and in our joints, our muscles, the more we practice it on the mat, the more it becomes habit, and the more we can take it into our life off the mat. And so it's always an amazing day in any yogi's life when you realize that all the breath work, the intentional exhales, the attention to long and slow quality breaths, all the work that you do on the mat here as part of your practice comes up for you in a moment of stress and in a moment when you might get either emotionally or physically stressed out in the world, and you realize that your breath became calmer in a moment of stress. That is an incredible realization, an incredible moment. All right, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, take it forward to tabletop. Curl the toes under, take an inhale. Exhale, straighten the legs, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Glance up at the hands, walk, step, or float your feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, release the hands down by the sides. Okay, so we're going to approach that same balancing pose again. If you recall, you have the option to, we're gonna start with the right leg. You have the option to grab hold of your foot and your knee with both hands, or if you want to try grabbing hold of big toes with the thumb and peace fingers of your right hand. Either one is good. So activate the standing leg. When you're ready, pick up the right foot, right leg, and then find your balance. Establish that stability. Grip into the earth with all four corners of that standing foot. Roll the right shoulder back. If you are holding on to just the big toe, try rolling the right shoulder back to create a little bit more neutral, a little bit more of a neutral spine. And so have the shoulders stacked over the hips here. This is as far as we'll go today. Take an inhale. And with control, come on back to standing. Let's do the other side. Shift all of your body weight to your right foot. Pick up the left leg. Left knee is in line with the hip. And find whether you're grabbing hold of the foot with your hand or you're grabbing hold of the toe. Find your balancing pose here. Perhaps the first time you did this, the limiting factor was your hip, but since we've done a little bit of work on our hips over the course of the practice, it might not be the hip anymore. You might be able to stand up a little bit straighter, and the hip might not be hindering you quite so much. And then, as is always the case in any challenging pose, we discover a new limiting factor, right? Because when we remove one limiting factor, it's like, well, it's not about the hip anymore, but maybe it's about the shoulder, or maybe it's about the balance. And there's always something new to work on. All right, take an inhale. And with control, come back to standing. Very nice. Come on back to the top of the mat. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. All right, lower back to a high plank here, and we're going to go right into a right side plank. So have your left hand beneath the shoulder, and then shift your body weight to that left hand, reach the right fingertips toward the sky. Okay, now we're going to take this side plank and we're going to turn it into a little bit of a back bend. So pick up your right foot, and can you bend the knee and kick it back behind you, and now start to open the chest toward the sky. Drop the head back, reach the right arm back behind you. And take it back to a side plank when you're ready. And back to a high plank. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Have the right hand beneath the shoulder. Reach the left fingertips toward the sky. Establish that side plank. And now pick up the left foot. Kick it back behind you. And look up toward the sky. Drop the head back. Nice little back bend. Take your way back to side plank and then back to a high plank. Very nice. Downward facing dog. All right, lower the knees to the earth, coming into tabletop. Pick up the right foot, step the right foot forward outside the right pinky. So this time the back knee is grounded. And rather than a very challenging hip opener, let's have this be a nice feel-good hip opener for you. So whatever that looks like for you, maybe your elbows are straight, your hands are beneath your shoulders, maybe your forearms are on the earth, maybe you find some variation, like you could press the right hip away from you. That feels really nice always for me. If you feel like your outer hip has had enough and you want to start focusing on your hip flexor of your opposite foot, and if it's accessible to you, so you might bend the back foot, and what you can do is you can rotate toward the right leg and then reach the right arm back and catch the back foot. Always feels really nice. A little hip flexor quad stretch here. And breathe. Remember, feel good being the operative word here. So if you find yourself gritting your teeth, holding your breath, breaking a sweat again, back it off a little bit. Remember, everything doesn't have to be hard all the time. Take an inhale. And slowly release whatever hip opener you were doing. And just step it right back to tabletop for a moment. And just for funsies to kind of neutralize this out, step your knees pretty wide and just gently roll your hips to the right, to the left. And rock it forward and back. Any organic movements that would feel really nice for your hips today. Okay, we're going to go into it on the other side. Pick up your left foot and step it forward outside the left pinky. Make your way into this hip opener gently and lovingly for your joints, your muscles. What would it look like to move into a stretch or a pose from a place of love, from a place of generosity, a place of gratitude? Take an inhale and slowly release. Take it back to tabletop. And just for a moment, once again, bring your knees together, bring your feet together, and take it back to a kneeling position. I find that particularly after a more energetic practice, taking a pause in this kneeling position is particularly restful. It's not demanding on the hips, but it is seated. Rest the backs of your hands on your thighs, palms up. Bring your awareness to your posture. Perhaps even close your eyes. Turn your gaze inward. Observe the quiet. And perhaps this might be where you want to conclude your practice and perhaps take your final resting pose. Not every resting pose has to be a shavasana. Not every resting pose has to be corpse pose, right? You could take a seated shavasana. You could take a kneeling, mindful shavasana. So go ahead and move to your final resting pose, whatever that looks like for you. I'm going to stay here. We're going to spend the next 3 or 4 minutes in silence, in stillness, and in contemplation. Shavasana. Slowly begin to reawaken the body, wiggle the fingers, the toes, roll out the wrists, the ankles. If you are on your back, or if you're seated, reach the arms overhead. Take a full body stretch from fingers to toes and everything in between. And then as you are ready, roll over to one side. Make your way to a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like for you. Slightly rest your hands on your knees. Close your eyes when you get there. Come back to that foundation of awareness. Of stillness, of contemplation. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl talks about the space between stimulus and response. And that there's a gap between what happens to you and what you do in response. There's a gap in time. And in that space, he writes, in that space lies our choice and our freedom. Because you are never in control of the circumstances around you. You are in control of your response to them. And so observe that gap. Observe the space between stimulus and response. And the more you can become aware of it, the more you can observe it, the more you can become a student of that gap, of that space. The more you will cultivate your freedom to choose. On your next inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through your practice. Have a beautiful day. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a fantastic day. I sure enjoyed that with you. So have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week.